Welcome to Kingmaker's IAS Academy. I am Madhavi, here for you with the daily answer writing session. So here we get started with the 2 questions from the current affairs. So we will transform the knowledge from the current affairs into a answer writing, and then we'll have a tip at the end of the session. So do watch the video till the end. So let's get started. The first question, discuss the ill effects of using extrajudicial killings as a means to provide immediate delivery of criminal justice. How could this be prevented from happening? So, the recent case of wherein Hyderabad, the veterinary doctor was gang raped and she was killed, wherein the culprits were extrajudicially killed. There was a demand for Unnao rape case wherein the culprit has burnt the Unnao rape case victim alive. There is a demand for extrajudicial killing in this case as well. So there is a overall debate about extrajudicial killing, which has given rise to this question. So second question is, Taxila and Nalanda were important centers of learning in India. However, Taxila, unlike Nalanda, is not considered as a university in the modern sense. Discuss. So this question is a static part. So we'll discuss both the questions in detail. So approach for a mains answer writing is that introduction, then the body of the answer will talk about the keywords of the question. You will decode all the keywords of the question, and then you will also have a diagram illustrating your answer. In this session, I have also introduced a creative corner for the UPSC aspirants so that they will benefit out of getting more marks, achieving 440 plus in this mains by illustrating their content through a diagram as well, so that they'll score 1 mark plus or 1.5 mark plus. That will give him a greater leverage. Next is conclusion. Okay, so here we get started with the first question. First part of the first question says, discuss the ill effects of using extrajudicial killings as a means to provide immediate delivery of criminal justice. So extrajudicial killing has an ill effect to give a immediate delivery of criminal justice. So this is creating an ill effect, and how could this be prevented from happening is the second part of the first question. So since it is a discuss, you have to talk about the all aspects like advantages, disadvantages of extrajudicial killing, why have it started, and the reasons and the result of extrajudicial killing. So since we have to start with an introduction, we'll define what is extrajudicial killing. An extrajudicial killing is the killing of a person by governmental authorities or individuals without the sanction of any judicial proceedings or legal process. So here it says without the sanction. So without the sanction is that there is no trial and conviction made for the giving death penalty for that particular culprit. So without the sanction, extrajudicial killings have lots of ill effects, which the question itself have directly told. So possible reasons for the extrajudicial killing is the public anger and anguish. In this case of from the cases of Nirbhaya, gang rape, and the recent case of veterinary health doctors trauma, and Unnao rape case trauma, there is a public anger and anguish that is created. Then lack of efficiency in legal institutions. What are the legal institutions? A legal institution includes police, court, as well the investigation department, and the legal acts that enforces and creates procedure for the legal institution, it is inefficient, which means there is a delay, there is improper evidences that gives leverage for the culprits to escape from the judicial process. And then we have political pressure on the police or other acting authorities. What are the other acting authority? It means investigation departments as well. So there is a political police nexus because the police depends on the political persons for transfers, and there is no independence for the police as well as other legal institutions, which is creating a danger for the whole society and criminal justice system. So we have to discuss about the ill effects of using extrajudicial killings in this part of this answer. So first is, it disrupts the delivery of real justice to be given according to the rule of the law. So what is the real justice. Real justice always comes through proper trial and conviction, where all the evidences are sufficiently scrutinized, and then the culprit is put in jail, and then given a proper appropriate punishment for the crime that he has done. So he or she has done. So it is a real justice. But this extrajudicial killing is disrupting the real justice, and it is taking the justice system out of the court to the hands of the police, which is very dangerous. Then, leading the mob nation. What is mob nation? That is a trend of mobocracy which has arisen because of the mob lynching through fake news, as well as through various problems that society is facing. There is a trend of people taking the justice system in their own hands, and in terms of giving justice, they are creating human rights violation. So mob lynching is one case where the cow slaughter is being condemned, and the people who are involved in the, or alleged to involve, or just accused to be involved in the cow slaughtering, are mob lynched. So next point is, no proper evidence may also lead to fake encounter cases. So it is not always extrajudicial killings are correct. Even the innocents can be killed who are having a political vengeance, and also there is a people who are against police, so they can be killed in name of encounter, and that is giving a great scope for misuse of power, which is creating fake encounter cases. We have seen Sohrabuddin case in Gujarat, which is an alleged fake encounter case, and there are a number of cases in Northeast wherein the Upsc is being violated, and there is a fake encounter cases where the Manipur people demanded for justice. Then, violation of human rights. So, human rights, what are the human rights that is being violated? One is Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, wherein life and the liberty is being curbed by the extrajudicial killing. There is also Article 20 and 22, wherein if you see the crux of that articles, you will understand that these human rights are also violated. That is Article 20, wherein there is a protection against conviction, and in Article 22 against a detention. Extrajudicial killing is violating all of that. Then, credibility of police institutions and overall legal system. See, in extrajudicial killing, without, there is no trial and there is no conviction. So the police institution can take this leverage and can misuse this power. So there is already a credibility issue wherein the people are not trusting the police, and this extrajudicial killing can create credibility problem in more sense. Okay. Then overlooks the real problems. What are the real problems? Safety of the woman, and then the inadequacy and inefficiency in the legal system, which is creating immediate solution of extrajudicial killing. So this real problem is clearly missed out, and this extrajudicial killing overlooks this real problems like pendency of cases, vacancy in legal system. There is too much of expenditure that the victim have to spend to get justice, and also there is a safety problem of the witness as well as the victim. In Bulandsahar rape case, wherein we saw that the victim and the lawyer and her relative was killed, was targeted, and they were about to be murdered, but only the victim got saved. So this is overlooking the real problem. Then, deterrence of crime and rehabilitation of victim. What do you mean by deterring crime? See, only when there is a proper trial and conviction, there is a crime which is deterred. There is no clear evidence that the extrajudicial killing can deter crime or rehabilitate victims. Both is not satisfied by this extrajudicial killing, which is the very aim of criminal justice system. Then, violent form of justice. People are now wanted a violent solution, wherein they wanted to take revenge for the murder of the victim who was gang raped. This is creating a violent form. The next point, which says society's value system over rules is being disrupted, also reiterates this before point, that is violent form of justice. That is, society value system over rules. The belief in rules and the rules will create peace is totally disrupted, and the violence is being promoted in this case of gang rape victims, where we are demanding death penalty, immediate killing of that particular culprits, which is creating violence. Okay. Next part of the first question, how could this be prevented from happening? So answering that as a way forward, we have to reduce political interference. This can be done through legal reforms, through police reforms, and the creating sufficient independent procedures for the criminal investigation departments and the police. There has to be a total independence of these institutions from the political system. Then, improving the justice delivery process through the technology, through proper reforms in the collegium system, wherein the judges are appointed, and then there has to be proper fast track courts that is being expedited at a faster manner to deliver justice in a timely manner. Then, empowering national and state human rights commission. These commissions have the power to give justice to the complainant, that is the victims. But there is a problem that there is no proper compensation can be given by this rights commission. Their power over armed forces is very limited, and their power over Jammu and Kashmir was a very limited earlier case, but not now. So, National Human Rights Commission and State Human Rights Commission has to be empowered to sufficiently deter crime as well as compensate victims and rehabilitate victims in a very good manner. Yes. Then, NHRC and Supreme Court in People's Union for Civil Liberties versus State of Maharashtra case has issued guidelines. NHRC have issued guidelines earlier itself, and Supreme Court in this case has given 16-point guidelines which has to be implemented. Then, strict punishment for law enforcement authorities in case of extrajudicial killings. In the Manipur case that I have mentioned, the Supreme Court has clearly given a judgment that law enforcement authorities for any case of encounter has to be accountable and has to reason out why it is done, and it must be sufficiently proved. So this case, a strict punishment for law enforcement authority if there is a misuse of power through extrajudicial killings are done. Okay. So here we have the creative corner, where in this question discuss the ill effects of using extrajudicial killing as a means to provide immediate delivery of criminal justice. This first part of first question can be illustrated using a diagram. Here we go. Using a flow chart, that extrajudicial killings can create mob violence, which can lower the societal value. As well, the mob violence can also violate human rights. So, this is a flowchart that you can illustrate in the first part of the question when you are answering. So, in an answer sheet, you can draw this diagram in the middle or in the right hand or left hand side with a boxed saying impact or ill effects of using extrajudicial killing as a heading to this particular diagram. Okay. So, next question, second question. Taxila and Nalanda were important centers of learning in India. However, Taxila, unlike Nalanda, is not considered as a university in a modern sense discussed. So, the first part question says, they are the important centers of learning in India. So, you have to substantiate in the introduction that they are important centers, describing about shortly or briefly about them. Then say how Taxila is different from Nalanda as a university in a modern sense. So, it is a discuss. So, you can write it as a debate like statements. Okay. So, Taxila and Nalanda are both universities in ancient India, which were constructed during 5th to 6th century BC and existed around ADs also. Then it is both are devoted to Buddhist studies. So, many of the people from the other countries have visited these universities. And then about the differences, that is how Taxila is not a university in a modern sense like Nalanda. So, we have to tell about the differences. That is, Taxila does not award any degrees, but Nalanda does. Then Taxila does not have any specific lecture halls, whereas Nalanda has 8 separate compounds, meditation halls, temples, classrooms, lakes, parks. And Taxila does not have a centralized syllabus, but Nalanda has it. And Taxila does not have a library, but Nalanda have a 9-story library. And Taxila, wherein the Vedas and 18 arts and varied skills like archery, hunting are being taught. In this case, Nalanda, there is also a dormitories for students. They are trained in fine arts, medicine, maths, astronomy, politics, and the art of war. And in Taxila, it is only in smaller in scale, and Nalanda, it is larger in scale. So these are the differences that can prove that Taxila is not a university in a modern sense, unlike Nalanda. And then you can draw a diagram on the sides to fill the answers and make it more qualitative and value addition that you can make, so that you can score a higher mark and you can target for 440 plus for sure. So here we have India map that you can roughly draw with the freehand diagram and mark where Taxila and Nalanda is, and then you can illustrate that Taxila and Nalanda University in the title of the diagram. Okay. Now we have a tip. This tip tells about the directive of the question, that is comment. Okay. For a comment in a question, you have to take a stand, then identify the key issues and facts, and then give your opinion in your perspectives. So according to the question, you have to take the question, identify the key issues and take a stand, and then give value argument on each issues you have identified. For example, we have a question caste system is assuming new identities and associational forms. Hence, caste system cannot be eradicated in India. Comment. So, in this question, you have to give an opinion whether caste system can be eradicated or not, analyzing how the caste system has taken new identities and associational forms. So, you have to take a stand and mention that whether caste will not be eradicated or will be eradicated. So, and then give a valued argument based on the question, and then sufficiently conclude in your own stand, and then you will end up this question. Okay. So, thank you friends, and the quote is, rarest of all human quality is consistency. So, be consistent, and thank you.